Hi guys. So, even though people don't listen much to my videos, I think some might look forward to it. So, I'm still going to make another one. So, yeah, I mean, to a lot of the people, this sounds stupid, but like, this is kind of my philosophy. So, the chakra I want to discuss next is the Muladhara chakra. So, as I said, the bottommost chakra is the Muladhara. The third chakra is the Manipuraka, the fifth is the Vishuddhi. So, when we talked about Vishuddhi before, the chakra that helps you develop quant IQ or that helps you maintain a work life balance, helps you create some distance from office politics or from the tragedy of life so that you can be a bit more relaxed. That is the Vishuddhi chakra, which is also where the Sushumna Nadi begins, where the Ida and Pingla meet. Okay. And then the Manipuraka chakra, as we discussed, it's about the core control involved in singing, dancing, martial arts, or whatever. So, what I wanted to discuss next was the Muladhara chakra, because these are the three chakras that I think one should focus on. So, imagine the scenery, okay? Muladhara chakra is like an ecosystem. So you live in an environment of your choice, like maybe you prefer beautiful mountains or riverside or a beach, whichever one you prefer. And your job is predictable and repetitive, right? So accounting, manual labor, basic medicine, whatever, right? And let's say you also have a source of entertainment. In modern times, it could be like hiking, watching Netflix, going clubbing, whatever you prefer. In the times past, I'm not sure what it was, but let's put it under entertainment. So there is something that helps you feel alive, right? Be happy. And let's say you also have a family and a society that you are well connected to. And there is also a good healthcare system. I think being situated in this is what I call being situated in the Muladhara chakra. So, Manipuraka and Vishuddhi are like the training grounds. So you train your mind, you train your body, you train your mind muscle connection, you figure out how to live. But what brings about this increase in intellect, strength, and beauty? It's where the Muladhara chakra is. So unless you have some sort of stability and healing, you won't grow as a yogi, right? You need some sort of increase in your stats, let's say. So, and given the life I have lived, the path I walk, the work I do, and the cultures that dominate the world, I think these three are like pretty much very important to me. But I mean, let's consider the modern scenario. So I think the world was very different till 2000s or maybe even early 2010s because the salaries were not shooting up, right? But beginning late 2000s or early 2010s or something, I don't know, these big tech, these HFT, these management jobs, all of these began to come more in power. The salaries began to increase, people began to be paid more and more and more, right? So what happens in these cases that the Muladhara chakra begins to get stressed out. So people who depended on like a basic livelihood to be able to lead their lives, they begin to get stressed. So that is why it's like you are not in an environment of your choice, you have a little bit of stress, maybe the job is stressing you out so much that you don't have time for entertainment. That is why music, which is like YouTube, Spotify, as well as modern medicine, these will help compensate for that disturbance to Muladhara, and so you should rely on them. Music helps distract you, modern medicine helps cure you. The only thing I will say is that if you're following the path of modern medicine, you basically should have a decent amount. I'm not saying you should have like 100 200 grams of protein, but whatever the RDAs they say, you should try to have that, right? So, and this also comes down to my path. So I built up my life in Boston, but then I fell down, right? And then I tried to climb back up, but he kept falling down again and again, and the problem stays the same. So right now I am at synopsis, I am at 34 lpa, right? I'm 10 years out of my undergrad, 2 years went to masters, 3 years were like not productive at all. So it's like I would be considered as someone who should compete with someone with 8 to 10 years of experience, but I have 5 and I'm at 34 LPA. Back when I was in Boston, I had 3 years of experience. I was at $120,000 per year, which is a decent salary. But if you look at the way the world works, it's like 500,000 per year is pretty normal in the US, or 1 crore salaries are becoming more and more normal in India. So you have to deal with that, right? And the path that I am on, like especially if I'm in India, I might be able to get to 40, 50, 60 lakhs per annum in India in the next few years, but that's about it. I don't think I'll be touching 1 crore or 2 crore or whatever it is that these people are earning given the path I'm walking, right? So I have to learn to make peace with that. Unless I learn to make peace with that, unless I learn to let go, the Muladhara chakra is not going to stabilize, right? So whatever I do, whatever work I do with my Manipuraka or my Vishuddhi, it won't show up in my intellect, in my strength, in my beauty, unless I focus on this Muladhara. And as for people talking about my age, I think I'm more robust at 32 than what I was at 23 years of age. And I think I read somewhere in a comment that Jews say that 40 is the age at which you reach your peak. So there is still time. So, I mean, you need to proceed the way that you think you need to proceed. And so another topic that I haven't discussed in this videos is something I've talked about. So I think it takes about a period of 4 years to change your destiny. And I think I am in sync with the current one. So around September, October of 2022, I began to try to recover from my fall in the US. So in 2022, I was fired from US. I came back to India, somehow tried to build up. And that period would end in like September, October of 2026 right now. So even though I have like 3 years of gap or so, which I wasn't doing much hopping around and all, I think I'll be completing that period. And so here's the deal. The voice that India has regarding me, most Indians, I'm not saying all the Indians because I do have friends, right? Some people take my side. But it is that even in my family members, it's like I don't acknowledge that you got a degree from IIT. I don't acknowledge that you got a degree from US. I don't acknowledge that you got a job in US or that you are pursuing a job in India in a decent company. And the reason is simple, right? I don't think you could have cleared JE. I don't think you could have passed an undergrad at IIT. I don't think you deserve a job in tech because you're not good at competitive programming. It's the same thing. A lot of the times people don't say it directly, but that is what their intention is, right? So I will have to think about this in a different way, right? So thing is, when it comes to my Muladhara chakra, where am I situated? So throughout this period, who has helped me? Who is more likely to have helped me? So Penn State is a big community. When I spent time in Boston, MathWorks tried to acknowledge me. And some of that influence leaked into the Boston salsa community or the Boston MMA community. So that is what it is, right? So those people took a bet on me, and behind the doors, they might have helped me because I didn't have many options, okay? Sometimes just a job came by, sometimes an opening came by, and I just breezed through it till I got here. So if they took a bet on me, I need to prove that their bet was correct, right? So as this 4-year period comes to an end at my current company, I think I will be back to where I was in Boston in 2021. So they had a narrative around me in Boston in 2021, and that narrative is going to come up again. If that comes up again, people are going to be suspicious that maybe there is something going on. I know it is racism, but people need a proof, right? But the thing is, that's the first layer of doubt. So tamas works in fractions, right? So half of the battle is won if you prove to others that people who took bet on you were right, that you were in the right, the others were being racist. But there is another half, right? Half and then a quarter more. So 75%. So it's like, are you stable mentally, especially? Which mind is also a part of the physicality, right? So starting this February, I began to eat well. I got a maid, tried to eat traditional foods, tried to create some work-life balance, tried to stay relaxed, tried to stay, tried to entertain myself and all. And I think it takes 2-3 years to change physicality. So right now I'm in August, so I think at least for the next 2 years I will have to stabilize myself in my job and my life. I'll have to try to relax, try to go out with my parents, try to make friends, go out with them while not letting it affect my job, try to stay on track on increasing my lifts, try to not overeat, try to stick to Ayurveda as much as possible and deviate only a little bit. So that is what needs to be done. If I can prove that I am stable, not just prove, I need to become stable, right? So that is the journey I need to walk. And only then will those I was connected to, only then will they be able to open up paths for me. Because right now I have none, right? And it's like, has something changed in my job? So there was some friction in my current job because I was hired despite opposition. And I know it from my friends, indirectly or directly, that they probably didn't want to keep me beyond 2 or 3 months. And if that failed, maybe around 7 or 8 months, that's it. And this is my 10th month here. 10th month is about to end, right? So, and the work is beginning to resemble what I had at MathWorks, right? People are guiding me as to what tasks I have and how I need to work through them. So it's like I need to begin to appreciate the stability and try to incorporate it so that the Muladhara chakra begins to stabilize. And once that stabilizes, once the circle that I built, that begins to believe more in me again, then I'll be able to proceed in life. But at the same time, I need to make peace with this, like, see, I don't believe in the standards set by International Collegiate Programming, whatever it is, ICPC, or the standards set by tech. Let's say in tech, it's like, okay, lead code hard is the new easy. You need to know system design. You need to know AI, ML well. You need to publish PRs day after day, week after week. And like, that is what talent is. If you don't lack it, get the hell out of tech, right? So I don't agree with that. And I'm not going to kid you. I don't think there is any other explanation for it other than the fact that AI was a proprietary technology and only now has it become public. But maybe the way things were done were different. So people came up with plans and AI wrote the code, because there is something called cyclomatic complexity. So people get lost when writing the code. I'm not going to deny that I'm making that accusation. But whatever it is, however people are entering the job, the fact is that they are earning a shit ton of money. And it's disturbing the Muladhara chakra, like this, of the world. I shouldn't call it Muladhara chakra as much as it must be a graha. I don't know what it's about. But yes, it's affecting Jupiter and Shani. So Shani is Saturn is probably what it's affecting. And what's contributing to it is also hedonism, right? So it's like breaking apart the social fabric. So, and to some extent, and like what I mean by hedonism is that people who make it to these high paying jobs, they will have their families, and then they will also go out and enjoy their life with others. So that is the entire plan, right? That is what we call Vaishnavas. That is how they exert control. Like for instance, I'll tell you something. I grew up in India back in 2000s when terrorist attacks or anything were there. It's like I used to talk to people and all, like the elders and all. Like nobody used to say it, but there was a common consensus, right? That a lot of these terrorist activities, at least in India, are pre-planned. Like how else would they get in, right? If you have visited India, the police and everything is very strict. They all work like a robot. It's like you you can't just get by that easily. Okay, it's like these are pre-planned. These are made to instill fear in people, That is what it is about. So, and I think with the coming of BJP, at least that vanished, right? That fear element was scrapped away. I'm not saying everyone in BJP is a saint, but at least they did something. But the problem is those people who are these miscreants, they want something else, right? Now they want to establish a hierarchy. So they are probably the ones behind what is happening. And as you can see, as BJP came into power, this big tech HFTs and all went back up. So it's like it's all connected, right? They want to maintain their hierarchy. They want to say that they are higher ups. They want you to be unhappy. They want themselves to be happy. They want to feast on you. And to some extent, you can't do anything, right? If you are earning like 100, 150K in the US and someone is earning 500K, 1 million or 2 million, like you can't compare to them. You can't compete with them. If you are in India, you are earning 30 LP and someone is earning 2 crores per year. You can't compete with them. They are in a different league. All you have to do is make peace with it and do the best that you can do, right? So that is what this chakra is about, and I'm going to write some more on it. But what I believe is the way Ayurveda was written, right? This journey of mastering the chakras is about yoga, but Ayurveda, I sometimes experiment a little bit with ashwagandha because even modern medicine acknowledges it. But yeah, there are other things like Brahmi, Shank Pushpi, Shatavar, and all. So I think once your Muladhara is balanced, then Ayurvedic medicines work the way they should. Like you don't need this giant concoctions that modern Ayurvedic practitioners have, right? They'll give you like 10 medicine. I don't think you need that much. I think a little bit is needed once your Muladhara is balanced and you can be healthy as it is. That is the way it was probably meant to be practiced in the past. As for allopathy, I think it helps you balance the Muladhara, right? It helps you get back into schedule. So these are different conflicting views. And also again, like this is from what I know from my culture and a little bit of what I know of the West. Buddhism, Buddha, his philosophy, they probably offer a different insight. Okay, and even in Hinduism, I never explored the sacral chakra or the Anahat chakra, which is the heart chakra. So they might offer some different perspectives too, right? So yeah, I mean, it's an entire journey by itself, and it's like you need to learn to relax, to calm yourself down, so that you can move through life powerfully, right? So I think that's what this is about. Yeah.